installment of the trilogy of the cheap Chinese chainsaw, this particular one. And the whole video series kind of started because of this one I got a while ago, which is a great little chainsaw. It's a cheap cordless chainsaw, runs on an 18-volt battery, and it's got one slight flaw. It does have a safety guard up here, but it's not on because the screw's fallen out. But it's got a variable speed trigger, but there's no safety feature. So if you're handling wood, it can actually start and theoretically do terrible things with its blade. However, this one does have the safety feature. You can't pull the trigger in unless you push this button and you squeeze it in, and this was so cheap, it was unbelievable. Let me just put this one out of the way. It's not the subject of this video. So this one also has the feature of a little oil reservoir for chain lubricant oil. And oddly, instead of being a self-feeding wicking system, it's got a little priming bulb that you'd normally find in the gasoline chainsaws, and that is used to pump oil down to the chain. Right, tell you what, I'll show you what came with this kit. Keep in mind that this entire kit cost £18.35 shipped in the UK. So we've got the main body. We've got a pair of safety gloves. I'll try putting them on in a moment. We got a chain. We got, hold on, let me just grab it. A second chain. We got a chain bar. We got a bigger chain bar. Wasn't expecting that. We've got a safety guard. A tool that is not compatible with this particular chainsaw. A rechargeable 18-volt battery. A charger for the battery. A screwdriver, double-ended screwdriver for setting the tension of the chain, a tiny little bottle of chain oil. Real lumberjacks will know this is not real chain oil. And then a smattering of hardware for mounting the safety device onto the blade cover. So let's put these out of the way, and I'll show you how this goes together. Now, it's worth mentioning, let's go with the big chain bar here. So I shall thread this on here. And the idea is that this chain can run around this bar. It's got little bits, well, I'll show you the anatomy of the chain. And the way it should rotate is such that it's going to be rotating this way when you're holding the tool like this. And therefore the cutting edge should be pointing that way, which it isn't. So I shall turn this chain bar over. And now the cutting edge is pointing the right direction. But before I assemble it, I'll show you the anatomy of the chain. So I'll put this out of the way, and I'll bring in a picture of the chain. I shall zoom down it and focus onto that. So the chain has blank links. It has links that ride in the chain bar, and then it's got the cutting links. The cutting links have a little standoff that rides on the wood, but also just positions it just the right height that, though the chain at the right height, that the shaving edge will take a thin shave off. And to keep the balance, you've got one on that side, then alternates to that side, and then back to that side, and then back to this side. And the way it should actually ride in the actual chain is that the cutting edge, the sharp edge, you can feel it when you run your finger across it, should actually be going in there. And you can sharpen these chains. You get tools specifically for it, or you can use a file if you're skilled, but you get various guides and little tools that basically have little reamers that wind in and give a perfect edge. Project Farm featured some sharpeners. I mentioned Project Farm again because he's been featuring so many things that are relevant to the recent videos. Right, tell you what, let's zoom back out now that you've seen the anatomy of a chain. And we shall take a look at, well, the gloves. They're stretchy. They're magic gloves. Oh, I've got very big hands. They did fit in the hands. They don't come up very high. Will it protect me against a chainsaw? No, it won't. Oh God, I can't get off again. Right, gloves out the way. Right, normally there'd be a nut on the side of this that you'd undo with this. They've just included this because it's a standard thing that they just include with everything, and you don't need it in this instance. It's a little thumb screw, and then the cover comes off. The safety guard, should you wish to fit it, and I do recommend fitting things like this, has a little bush that goes in like this, and it has a spring with the, as far as I can see this end, because it doesn't really work the other way around, this end will go in here, and then you have to tension the spring round like this and put it into there, which is no mean feat, but can be done. And once you've done that, and put the screw in to actually lock all this in position, and it is quite a fumbly job. It means that when you, this will sit just above the chain, but as you cut through things, it will move out the way so that it can have unimpeded access through, but then it will swing back down to protect against that blade. Right, I'm going to take this back off again because it's very fumblesome. It can go on at a later date, but I'm going to be taking this apart anyway. To fit the chain in the chain bar, here is a chain. Things worthy of note. You've got a guide here. This is the screw that this goes on to hold the side of the casing on, but you've also got this that can go backwards and forwards. This is the bar tensioner. When you put the bar on, you sit it over that, find that little tensioner bit, and you rotate the chain so that it fits into the sprocket that is going to drive it round. Okie dokie. And then, when you tighten, and I'll just use a random screwdriver I have here, when you tighten this little screw here, it drags the chain upwards. Most fumblesome, particularly because the chain is now popping out. It's one of these things that if you've done it a few times, you'll get the hang of it very quickly. But when you tighten that screw under there, it will wind the bar in or out, so it will loosen or tighten. And what you're looking for is, you have to put the cover on before doing this. Just keep it a wee bit loose so this bar can slide backwards and forwards. But what you're looking for is a little bit of play. You don't want it to be absolutely tightened to the point it's hard against that, because otherwise it will cause a lot of friction. But you want it so that there's a wee bit of slack, but not too much that can pop out. And note that the chain does heat up and expand with use. And that's basically it. When you use the tool, this sprocket will drive the chain round and it will basically cut its way through wood. That is more or less it. I should just for completeness say this bit goes on here and then this bit goes on here, but we're about to take it apart. So let's take it apart. Incidentally, see this little trap here with the hole? If I put